Hey there, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Madi B. And today we have a very special show. October signifies a lot of things, and breast cancer awareness is one of them. An annual campaign that is recognized during all year as well, not just this month. But this campaign is to raise awareness about the impact of breast cancer. The showing, and we're here to show and support women and men by helping them get access of education, how to get screenings, how to be preventative, support by other stories and journeys. This month, all month, we rise together. So today we have a special show that is focused on breast cancer. And I would like to introduce our panel today, Amy and Ilene. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, so we are honored to have you ladies here to tell us a little bit about why you're here, what that story looks like for you in your world. But before we get started, I want you ladies to introduce yourself to those who are watching right now. So, Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm 39-year-old wife and mom.
Nice. Welcome. And Ilene?
Ilene, I'm 63. I have 5 grandchildren, 2 children, a husband, 2 dogs. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you ladies, and we're happy to share your story here on this platform. The good, the journey, the aftermath, even the ugly. We want to kind of talk about it and see how we can help others that are watching as well. Now, I do want to clarify, everyone's journey is different. Everyone's story is different. And when it comes to breast cancer, we like to have many survivors on the show tell about their journey. So let's go ahead by taking a moment and highlighting your journey. So Amy, I want to start with you. When and how did your journey begin? And tell us all the detail of when all of this started.
I was really not feeling well for a while, and my husband had noticed, and I did not believe in going to doctors unless I was dying. And I had got extremely sick for like a week, and he made me an appointment to my OB and told me that we were going out to lunch at a new place that opened up here in town. And he drove me right to my OB here in town, and just went in for a regular pap smear, and luckily she found the lump there. And that's where the journey began. That was in August of last year, 2020. I went for my biopsies. Once we figured out that it was something, of course, you have to go in for more biopsies. So I went ahead and did that, and they found out that it was, in fact, cancer, and it was in both breasts. So I really didn't have an option on what to do there.
Oh, and when you found out the news, did they automatically tell you what stage you were diagnosed with, or did that take a couple more follow-ups?
That took, well, after my biopsy, when they called, then I got that horrible phone call to tell me that in fact, it was cancer. And then they went back and did the test, and then we found out they thought it was stage 1 going in, but after going in, I had multiple stage 2 tumors in my left breast and stage 0 in my right.
I see. Perfect. So, Ilene, I want to kind of go into your journey, and how did your journey start whenever you first found out?
So I was blindsided pretty much. September 2019, I had just finished a triathlon. I was probably as fit as I could ever be in my life. I did all the right things. I eat pretty clean, don't smoke, don't do alcohol. I breastfed my children. And there's no history on my, at least on my maternal side. I do have a cousin that had breast cancer. But I was in the shower and found a lump. And I had been playing with this lump back and forth for about a month. I felt fine. Unlike Amy, I wasn't feeling ill at all. And so I thought I felt a lump like a month before, and it disappeared. And, that's a fleshy area. So I kind of ignored it. I didn't think it was anything, because why could it be? I'm so healthy, right? I felt it that time, and it was pretty undeniable. And I ran into my husband's office next to the bathroom there, and I said, "Oh my God, I found a lump." And so then the process starts. You call, you make appointments, and we were going away to Disney a couple weeks after that I found it, and so I wanted things done fairly quickly, and so I went in for a biopsy. They saw me pretty quickly, and we knew it was already in the lymph node because that's where I felt it. I didn't feel it in my breast, and so it was in one breast, and a couple lymph nodes, they thought. And when everything came out in the wash, I wound up with HER2 positive stage 3B or stage 3A, I think is what they modified it to, cancer. And the waiting was ridiculoly hard. And I actually didn't get notified by a call. I read an email. It was the beginning part of this was just horrendous, I think. There was inconsistency of care, and my husband I was all I can do to control my husband because he saw what was happening. He got really angry at the professionals. So not only are you trying to keep yourself intact, but you now have family members who you're really concerned about. So that was another challenge at that point.
Yeah. And I want to thank you, ladies, for sharing your journey and how it started. And I want to take you back to that day, which you kind of already started reliving it. Hearing that phone call, hearing that email. Where were you? How did you feel? Because I know as a woman, you're either doing preventative, like Ilene, you said, I thought I was healthy, think measures to prevent. But once you get that news, it's a completely different mental, world right there. So tell us about that feeling that you ladies felt once you heard for the first time.
Initially, I felt like it was immediately a death sentence. There was no hope. It was instantly, you hear that cancer word and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm not going to see my kids grow up. I've got to start living now. And once I got a plan down, I met with my surgeons and got a game plan down, like I had a little bit more ease about it. But that initial part, I don't ever want to feel like that ever again, ever, because you don't know what's going to happen, because all you hear is the bad. Because before you have breast cancer, I didn't know much about it. I didn't know that October was I didn't pay attention to that stuff. It didn't, but now, so yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like the initial impact of that word kind of floors you, and then you start looking on the internet and you get floored even more because you don't really know what you're looking at. You don't know the terminology yet. All you know is, man, a lot of people die from this, and then you have to flip it at some point and say, man, a lot of people live from this. But everybody's screaming positivity at you, and man, you just don't feel positive. And you're doing everything you can to stay strong, and your public presence is strong. And inside, you're falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we completely understand. And we want to talk about a little bit about that next journey, right? Where you're falling apart, but then you start to pick up those pieces. And when you start picking those pieces, not just mentally, but also your body, what does that look like? Whether it was a treatment, did you guys undergo surgery right away? What happened in your journey that you guys picked up the pieces and kept moving on the treatment process?
So for me, I went for a second opinion to another hospital. I kind of liked their treatment plan, but what I saw in the waiting room scared the shit out of me. And I couldn't go to the big Boston hospital. So I opted for a different hospital that had a local what do you call that facility, that added facility that they helped people at, and it was bright and cheery. You didn't see a whole lot of real sick people in the waiting room, and mentally for me, I needed to do that. I couldn't deal with Boston. And so I asked them if they would do the treatment plan that I had at the other hospital, and they said yes. And it turns out that it was pretty opposite of what a lot of people. So I had three main chemicals: A, C, and T. Okay, a lot of people have A, C, and then T. The treatment plan that was outlined for me in Boston from Dana-Farber was to have the T first and the A and C second. And both of those chemos were before surgery. And I had a hard time understanding that. I just wanted it out of me, off of me, get the breasts off because they have the cancer. And no, I had to go through the treatment process first, the chemo first, to supposedly shrink the tumors down. So I guess they would be more operable, which to me, if they were going to take the whole breast, why did that matter anyway? I'm still kind of confused about that. But I forget where we're going with this, but
saying you were getting the chemo first and then the surgery, which is T, and then you got A and C. Is that correct?
Right. Correct.
Okay. And Amy, how was your treatment process?
I had my double mastectomy. I had no lymph node involvement by somebody who was watching over me. So I didn't have to do the radiation or the chemo. I just got put on the hormone blockers. And I will say that I can't even imagine what the chemo and radiation's like. So I'm not even saying anything, but it's not a walk in the park either. So, but yeah, if you can I hate when people say, oh, you got lucky, because you can't get lucky with cancer. But I think I somewhat have, like when I hear stories about Ilene and other women that have had to go through the chemo and the radiation, and, I see I have survivor's grief, I guess, guilt in a way. Like when people tell me I'm so strong, or I'm a warrior, or I'm a survivor, I'm like, no, I just had my boobs cut off. Like that's what I had to do to save my life. And that's what I did.
Amputated. Yeah. They were amputated.
I amputated my boobs, and they did what they needed to. They fed my babies. I'm old now. They did their job. They good.
And so look, ladies, I know you're talking about your amputation of your breasts as well as the chemo. All of that has also effects on the aftermath. So how did that make you feel, Amy, afterwards, to see your body differently right after, and what your body had to go through for the decision of that treatment process?
Well, the decision started way before I went in for my mastectomy, because they make you meet with your surgeon, and your surgeon makes you meet with your plastic surgery team. And I went into my surgeon and was like, I don't want breast implants. Like I've got cancer. How am I supposed to fight cancer with foreign stuff in me? And they made me go to my plastic surgeon. And when I did, by the time I was going to leave her office and told her that I didn't want breast implants, but when I walked out that office, she had put everything where it was supposed to be. I was going to look like I did before my babies, and I was going to feel good about myself again. And it was going to be no big deal. A little tuck, little snip. And I went against my gut feeling and had the expanders put in. And that started a totally different healing process for me, because I developed a MRSA infection from a contaminated expander that I didn't initially want. So it made that whole healing process a little bit difficult.
I see. And then after that, I mean, you're saying you went against your gut. You did I
let them put that foreign object in my body because I thought that I was because that's what society saw as normal. I didn't learn about a flat closure that I wanted. I told her I didn't want breast implants, but I didn't get told about a flat closure. I didn't get the opportunity to be told about that. It was instantly pushed to breast implants. I could get you looking the way you were, back in the day. Perfect. That's when you're in such a traumatic state of mind, these women go to school to do that to women. They're not used to women like me going in there going, I'm cool with what I'm going to look like, just make it flat. Cool. And I went against my gut, let her talk me into doing something that I should have followed my gut with. And my mastectomy was on December 2nd. By December 19th, I was in the emergency room with a severe MRSA infection. that she told me was from a contaminated expander that she'd placed inside me. So, you go up to this and you think all these things and you're like, I'm going to have cancer, but I'm going to look okay at least, and as vain as that sounds, as a woman going through that, you're like, okay, well, it's nothing. So you've got in your mind that you're going to be put back to normal. And when that failed, the mental, it's horrible. She didn't listen to me. And now luckily I'm strong enough mentally to have pulled myself out to be doing what I'm doing now with what she's done to me. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of women out there that aren't strong to pull themselves up, and they're stuck looking like this because their doctors didn't listen to them.
Right.
And that has to stop. Flat closure needs to be, spoken about more. This needs to be an option. It doesn't need to be swept under the rug or not normal. It's okay to be different. It's totally okay to be different.
I agree. Yes. And after you got that infection, did you go back to the flat closure, or are you still battling the plastic surgery?
When I was in the emergency room, getting prepped for that surgery, I actually had to argue with her about removing the other expander and the other breast. She was like, oh, we'll just let this clear up and we'll put it back in there. And I was like, no, we're not. We're not. I just want it closed up. Take them out. My husband's like, she does not want anything in her. Close her up. When I woke up from my second surgery, from the MRSA infection, I didn't have a flat closure. You can see it on my TikTok. I have, it's not pretty, but I've somehow worked with it, and it's who I am, and I've embraced it. Could I go and get it fixed? Yeah. But do I want to go put myself back in that position again to let somebody else have that over my body? No, I'm cool. Right. I'm good the way I am. It took me a long time to become okay with that. But the women that I have come in, like Ilene, the crew that I have behind me, man, I would not change my breast cancer journey for anything. As bad as it was, it has brought so many good people. And man, my future is so bright. I got so much stuff going on just because of these wonderful ladies and their support. It's amazing. And I couldn't have done it without them. Seriously.
That gave me chills when you said that, the support. And I know that's a very important part of this journey as well. But before we go to that, Ilene, I want to talk about your process and how you did chemo first. How was that for you mentally, and going through what your body had to endure after that chemo process?
I thought that chemo was the hardest part for me. And at the time it was, because I actually practice homeopathy. I don't do traditional medicine. I don't do drugs. I don't do medicines. Mm-hmm. And for them to be putting poison in my body was the most difficult, and to lose control was the most difficult part at that point. And to also not have them very open to any alternatives that I suggested. Like nothing that I knew in the past that kept me healthy was acceptable to them. And that was incredibly difficult. And so I wound up on Facebook looking for support groups and looking for other people who had been through a similar journey that could help guide me along the way, because I know it's important to trust your medical team. I didn't trust them. And somehow I needed to gain some trust. And the Facebook support groups pretty much got me through everything. I found two in particular that were uplifting, positive: the Flat and Fabulous group and the She Strong group. And both of those venues were a place that I felt safe. I could voice my opinion. I could ask questions. I could have them answered by 3,000 other women who had been through the same thing, and not two doctors who were very medical and only looking at that piece. And so thank God for the support. And I'm a lactation consultant, which is the irony of this whole thing, right? But I have long been a proponent of support. My whole career is based on support. And so I really feel that the support network that somebody has around them is how they get through this.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And kudos to those groups that you just mentioned and are a part of still, ladies. kudos to them, because as Amy, you just mentioned, not every woman is strong enough to get out of this. And not every woman can pick up their pieces and go, look, I'm a woman. I know where I have my emotional standpoint. So for those women that are watching right now that cannot at that moment in time, but we know that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope. What do you advise for those ladies that probably are saying, I'm not as strong as you guys, I can't pick up the pieces? What advice would you give for those that are watching?
You get strong. You listen to these other women, and everything is acceptable on these in these support groups. Everything is acceptable. Nobody's bashing anybody, and all choices are valid choices, and they're your choices. And I never even heard of aesthetic flat closure. Never knew what that was. I just knew that I saw women that were suffering with implant disease and multiple surgeries. I didn't want more than one surgery. Do it, man. Get it done. I don't want it again. And mine isn't perfect either. But I'm not having it fixed because I don't want another surgery. I don't want to risk MRSA. I know what's out there. I'm medically based. I know what happens. I did get an irritation, infection, staph kind of thing happen after the surgery of this one. I got seromas that I had to deal with. See, that's actually, we didn't touch on that, but full disclosure was not happening at the beginning of all of this, and it should have. I didn't know I was going to have numbness. I didn't know there's a possibility of itching or phantom pain. I didn't know, I knew you can get infections, but I didn't know how common they were and what was used to treat them. I didn't know so much, and they weren't forthcoming with that information. Yeah, there's a big book, it's about that big, that you can read, right? I didn't have the presence of mind to read that. I was so scared I couldn't turn a page. And I'm a person that goes to the internet for information all the time, and I couldn't read anything about my cancer because it was too scary. And I got anxiety. I'm still dealing with anxiety, but I did develop a lot of anxiety over the whole process. You know, I was doing this through, like Amy, through 2020, where you were really almost doing it alone, except for my Facebook groups, thank goodness. So it was tough. And yeah, you need to have the support, but you asked what you tell the women. Just find a really good support and know that the majority of people do make this through, and it's not easy. It's hard work, and it's normal to get depressed. It's normal to have anxiety. It's normal, but it's also normal to flip it and to have hope and to see positive things about. For me, I know this sounds really funny, but this was a blessing in disguise for me. It made me take stock of my life a little bit better. It made me focus on everything that I want to get out of life and the kind of person that I want to be. It also enlightened me to how many people care about me. I was a very independent person. And sometimes when you're independent, you push people away a little bit. I learned to not push so hard and let people help me and let people love me. And that was huge.
Yeah, I have a couple of things I want to touch on that you ladies are touching on, which are very important. It's your circle that's around you, right? I know, Amy, you made a comment, and I want you to highlight on that. But another big thing is you had anxiety to go to the internet to read about the cancer. Messaging is very important, and not every message and not every article you read is going to have good information out there. Do you ladies want to talk a little bit more about the messaging that is out there, how that triggers certain things or gives off wrong information?
Ilene, go ahead. My doctor told me not to throw myself down the rabbit hole. So for the first time, I think in my life I ever listened, it was during that. I didn't get on the internet and start Googling and that was one thing that I was really good about listening to my doctor about, because there is so much bad out there, because that was all that you saw. There were no happy stories. So I didn't venture down that road.
My cousin went through breast cancer earlier. She was a very good support person to turn to. And one thing that was very valuable that she said to me was, don't look anything up on a Friday afternoon. And that was really actually very good, because you couldn't really contact, if you found something that you needed an answer to, you couldn't contact anyone till Monday. So that was really good for her to do that. Suggest that. I don't know what else to add to everything that I've been saying.
Let's talk a little bit about your circle and your family members. I know, Ilene, you said that you got to see a lot of people that really do support and love you. And there's also that double-edged sword that you also get to see those that are not in your corner. Did you ladies experience a little bit of that at all, whether it's the good or the bad or both?
Absolutely. Cancer really shows you who's there for you and who's not. And I just recently moved back to the town that I moved to when I was diagnosed, and the amount of support that came just from my little community, and I mean little community, is just overwhelming. The family that I belong to now isn't of blood. Like my circle is, I've got an army behind me, and I didn't even realize it at the time. But now that all this is going to happen again, like it's amazing to have that circle. And another thing is, if there's men watching this, if your woman, your wife, your girlfriend is going through this, you stay by her side and give her the most support that you can, because I'll get on some of the groups, and my husband did my drains. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't probably be, because I can't do that. That's yuck. So, but he was like heaven sent with that and never left my side. And he never failed to tell me, no matter what happened to me here, I was still beautiful. He still tells me every day. So if you're a man and you're watching this, if you can support your wife, your girlfriend with those little words every day, or those little things, like that means the world to us, because like the hardest thing as a woman
your mother
going
and
through
your daughter.
this. Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to be going through this, and you're losing what you know as being a woman. And how is your husband gonna take you? That's not what he married. And you know, the medicines they have me on, they're horrible. And so he's going through just as much, but he's supported me. So the only thing I can say is, men, if you're out there, support don't turn your back on her. I mean, nobody asked for this to happen. I mean, it happens. Just be her support, because that if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here. That's how depressed I was after what happened to me happened. And I don't know if without my circle here and my husband, I don't know, to be honest with you, if I'd be here today.
Yeah. No, I agree. You read on some of the Facebook groups about the men that leave their women, and I'm just dumbfounded. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how anyone could do that to anyone else. Never mind a husband and a wife. I just.
And speaking of support, we have a comment from Ashley saying, "Love you, Amy," all in caps. So.
Love you, Ashley.
When you said you have an army, that message came through, and it was like perfect timing. So I do believe that each one of you ladies have an army behind you, whether your village looks from family, friends, supporters, etc. I know you guys have that backing. Now, I know, Ilene, we were talking a little bit about the types of breast cancer and the types of treatment. You said some words that I was like, I want to know more. There's a lot of us that are watching right now, or maybe husbands and fathers and, sons that are watching that have no idea. So ladies, if you can educate us a little bit about the type of breast cancers, because there's different kinds, and for us that are watching and have never been through it, we probably just think there's one kind and there's many. So do you ladies want to highlight a little bit about that?
I know about mine. Like I said, I didn't jump into the books and research a lot. I just wanted to get healthy and get it done with. I had invasive ductal carcinoma.
IDC.
IDC. I was HER2 negative, estrogen positive. So that's my cancer is fed from my body, my estrogen. So that's why we take hormone blockers to try to stop those bad boys and keep it away.
There you go.
Yeah. And so what they look at is they look at the estrogen component, the progesterone component, and then there's various kinds of cancers outside of that. The IDC is one. That's the ductal carcinoma. Then there's HER2 positive. Or negative. I'm HER2 positive, or was HER2 positive. I'm not HER2 positive anymore. There's many other kinds, and similar to Amy, I didn't really educate myself well on any of the ones that I didn't have because I was hyper focused.
Right. Right.
And I'm PR negative, so I don't have to go on the hormone blockers that she's on. I did have to have something called Herceptin, which was a targeted chemo specifically for the HER2 positive component. And I had to have that longer than the chemo. So the chemo treatments ended like in March, I think, from October to March. And then I had a month off, and then I had surgery, and then I had a month off, and then I had radiation for a full month. And during that time, I continued to take the Herceptin until December 23rd, 2020.
So that's good that you ladies are sharing a little bit about that. There's others I know as well that you're saying. And tell me a little bit about one of the things that you ladies are saying is, I wish I knew more, or I wish someone would have told me. So if you had to tell someone who's watching right now, what do you wish you would have known before you started your treatment, right? Everyone's treatment is different.
Go ahead, Ilene.
I wish I would have known that groups existed that could help you through, and that you always have options, and that ultimately it's your body and your decisions, and nobody has a right to tell you what to do with your body. And it's going to be very personal for each person. And being an alternative medicine kind of person, I very easily could have taken the alternative path, and not done chemo, and not done radiation, which was also another big step to think about, because not everybody, I got like 3 different opinions on that before I agreed to it. But ultimately what I chose sat more comfortably in my body than having chosen something else. Had I chosen the alternative path, which I normally would have been more comfortable with, if anything had gone wrong, I would have said, oh my God, I really should have gone the tried and true tested way. And if I had that kind of feeling in my head, I knew I needed to do what was tried and tested, and not leave anything up to chance. Even though I know that the chemicals were poison and could have lasting side effects, I know that. I didn't know the alternative methods and their potential side effects. And so I went with what was known instead of what was unknown.
I see. Amy, anything you would wish you would have known before you started your treatment?
I wish I would have got on the internet and learned about the aesthetic flat closure previously. I should have went down that rabbit hole, but you don't know that that's an option. Like, you just see women with big old boobies. That's all you see. I didn't know that existed. I just knew that I didn't want those in me. But I guess because I didn't know about the aesthetic flat closure, word for word, I ended up with what I ended up with. So I wish I would have researched my options a little bit more and would have got on the internet and researched that part of it a little bit more. Had I, things might have been different.
I wish that we didn't have to know. I wish that the surgeons would come straight out and tell you, you have XYZ options, and one of them is aesthetic flat closure. Imagine that, you know?
Yep.
Right.
Well, they don't make any money off you then. They don't
Right.
get that, you know, they don't get you those 6-7 surgeries back. They're not going to
And
make
it's not
money off
even-
of flat closure.
It's not even that they get the money, it's the hospital. So
It's
they're making the money for the hospital. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, I know, ladies, whenever you find out the news, right? You ladies shared with us what you were feeling, how you were mentally, physically. It's very hard to do research on your ABCD options when you're also in a state of mind that is very, very broken. And that is exactly when you need those either higher professionals or someone else in your family to do that, kick in that strength and do that research to be able to advise, because like you ladies both said, it is your body and your treatment is going to be according to your decision. I think those things are very important. Now, I know you ladies are talking about support groups and support networks and, you know, people picking you guys up and having an army. Tell us a little bit more about these support groups. Do you guys get together on the weekend? Do you guys have events? Tell us a little bit about that.
I just want to, I got to talk first about She's Strong. So the aesthetic flat closure and the Flat and Fabulous group, they're really good. They have a lot of information in it. There's people who talk up and people who are down. My She's Strong group is like totally positive, so much positivity, and everybody on there has some sort of athletic background. So there are triathletes, there are marathoners, there are people who throw darts, there are horseback riders, there are kayakers, they're just people who are active in their life, and hikers. So one woman did a piece of the Appalachian Trail. One woman did another piece of the Pacific Northwest Trail. Just like really interesting folks. So in addition to being supportive of each other, we know what we're going through with the cancer. We're also intrigued by other people's sports, and it brings life to you. I tried snowshoeing for the first time this winter. If I hadn't seen somebody else do it, maybe I wouldn't have thought I could do it too. It's just so uplifting. And she holds a Brandy is the person who formed the group, the founder of the group. Brandy Ramirez is her name. And she lives in Arizona, and she held a virtual 5K recently for all of us. So she had a local group that did it there, but anybody could participate. We get these really cool medals that she makes with a Superman S through it and a breast cancer ribbon through it. And so it's a really nice, positive group to belong to. I'm really glad that I found them.
Nice. Amy, what about you? Any organizations or support groups you're a part of?
I'm a little all over the place. So yeah, I'm not one specific one because I didn't know quite where I fit in because I wasn't flat. I didn't know, but I think it found my tribe. And we have a flat retreat coming up next weekend. Actually, there's going to be 3 or 4 flying in from, I think, California and Indiana, Lisa Sears, Jessica Pierce. And it's just like, even in this past month since I've been on this TikTok thing, the people that I've met, like, I'm so excited about my future. Like, I just got bad news again, but I'm going to kick its ass again. And I am like, with these women around me, like, I'm unstoppable between my little family, my husband and my kids, and my support group. I'm unstoppable, man.
That's awesome. I love that energy. You guys are giving me chills by just the things you guys are doing, the type of energy that you have. You guys are unstoppable, and you guys are amazing women too. I know, Ilene, you have something that you'd like to add to that.
You said unstoppable. Part of the She Strong group, there was another women on there that belong to it's called the Two Unstoppable group. And so that she had, similar to a Live Strong program at the Y that you would normally get, She does a exercise class once every couple weeks at night on a Zoom, because everybody was doing everything through Zoom anyway. So we rediscovered ourselves through Zoom. But so we all got together like on Zoom and did this cancer rehab stuff online. It was a lot of fun. And as graduates, we were continuing to meet with each other as well. So that was really nice too. There's so many really positive things that can happen to you through this if you open the door and allow them to affect you and touch you. And this isn't a death sentence. It's not all bad. There's a lot of good here too.
Yes. I know I have a comment from Veronica saying, you ladies are amazing. And I agree. Like literally just said it as well. You ladies are amazing in what you're doing. And I know your tribes and your support are just as amazing, if not, just equivalent. So, we're down to our last questions. And I want to ask, this next question is very, very important because I'm asking what is the most difficult part of your journey, but I'm also asking how you overcame it. So it's that negative and then that positive that came right behind it. So ladies, tell us a little bit about that.
I think Amy's probably going to agree with me with this, but I'll let her say and her piece anyway. But for me, the mental piece is the hardest piece. It's an ongoing piece. It's something that you wake up every day. Here I am, 2 years after diagnosis, and I think that there is an occasional day when I don't think about my cancer. But you wake up every day, and every little ache and pain that are normal in every other person, right? You question it. And every sniffle, not only are you questioning if it's COVID, you're questioning if it's something else, So it's the ongoing piece, and I haven't overcome it. I'm just dealing with it, and I feel blessed to be old and have gotten this diagnosis because my heart bleeds and aches for young moms that have to live the rest of their lives like this. And it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, no. And thank you, Ilene, for sharing your story and sharing that difficult part of your journey that you're still battling with yourself to this current day. And I know it's no comparison of what we just went through with the pandemic, but that could be a little example of whenever, a family member, a friend, or someone got COVID, that feeling probably times that by 1,000. And maybe that could be a little bit of how we can tell our viewers of what it feels like to find out this news. Amy, I want to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit of your difficult part of your journey and how you overcame it.
I'm the mental part, of course. That's going to be till the day I take my last breath. But the hardest thing was having to look at myself the way that I am now. I got really, really in a deep, deep state of depression, but I'm really good at acting. I'm really good at making everybody think that I'm always okay. So nobody really knew that I wanted to hang myself in my closet because I was left looking like this. And I don't know what it was. I went to bed and everybody gone to sleep, and I cried, and I turned it over, and I woke up, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but I literally woke up and was like, I have to change my mindset. I have to change my state of mind. I have to start living. Like I was always living in the past and angry and bitter. Like I don't have time for that anymore. I don't, it's life's too short for that. And you find that out when you get this diagnosis.
I commend your strength, ladies, both of you guys, the way you articulate about your journey and your life. Like, I commend you, ladies, and you ladies are very, very strong. And I met you ladies today, and I'm so honored to have you on today's show and be, have met some amazing women. I have Ashley that came back and said, you are definitely going to kick cancer's butt. So, so proud of you. So yes, I agreed. I mean, proud of both of you ladies, and anyone that is watching right now that is going through it currently, or has gone through, or has a family member that's gone through it. Now, my last question of today's episode is what advice or last token, if you had to give someone that's watching, would you give on how to best support a loved one that's going through breast cancer?
Make them laugh. Make them know that you're there for them. Laughter is the best medicine. And if I can wake up and make somebody else that felt like I did laugh because I look the way I look, then that's what I'm there for. I've totally flipped this around and totally took something that I thought was going to get me, whether it was cancer, depression, suicide. Like, I didn't know what it was going to come of it. But I'm so grateful that I have found my tribe. Like, I was embraced by these people. My husband loves me. My little girls think I'm like the coolest mom in the world, you know? So, I mean, I'm thoroughly happy. Like I said, as bad as this cancer is, I'm going to be all right. And I have got a hell of a support system and friendship ring around me. And I couldn't be more grateful. Like, literally coast to coast, I have people, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I love them all.
Yes.
I just want to say that it's so funny that you said laugh, because I actually employed friends to send me comics every morning. And it's you got to find some way to laugh, and you got to do what Amy did and flip around. And I support someone, help them find what they can do and focus what they can. It's really easy to say, oh my God, I can't do that anymore. I can't walk 10 miles anymore. I can't, but what can you do? Because there's something that you can do, and you got to make it fun and focus on all the positive things that you can do. There's so much you can do. There's people that are sitting in wheelchairs that do marathons, so you can do a marathon too.
Yes. And look, what I'm taking out of the show is a lot of positivity, a lot of strength, a lot of love. So ladies, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm honored to have you guys on this show, not only to be here with me, but also to educate those that are watching. So it's such a pleasure to have you ladies on the show.
Thank you so much. And if anybody
sending you lots of love,
reach out.
Lots of love.
Lots of love, man.
Yes. And in the comment section, you guys will see the support groups as well. If you guys are interested, if you guys just want to drop positive vibes, we're here for positive energy only, right? And for all of you guys that are watching, please support someone that you may know. If you are that person, also your family members support you if you're going through your journey. Now, for all of you guys that are out there, I want to thank you guys for watching this show. It's such an important show on an important month. For my family members that are currently going through some type of breast cancer, or also my friends as well, which I have about 3, kudos to you guys as well. And I want to thank you guys for watching today's show, and even most importantly, for sharing the show. The more you guys get to share, the more lives we get to affect, and the more people we get to help. So thank you guys for tuning in to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Mari B.